Well, once again, greetings, folks. Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. King Sadiq. Thanks for checking in with me. I wanted to do a video about something that I've been getting a lot of questions about, which is losing weight, weight maintenance, and overall good dieting for health and wellness, right? Okay, so first off, disclaimer, I'm not a nutritionist or anything of that nature. But folks have noticed that, I at one point was pretty overweight myself, right? To the tune of about 250-ish, right? And I'm not a real tall guy, 5'10", that was too much, right? Movement was hampered. My overall health wasn't anywhere where I needed it to be or where it should have been, right? And I've overcome that. I've lost, let's say about 90 pounds, right? Close to it. And I feel great, right? The old tire around the midsection is gone. Let's see, the short duration of any physical activity that I will be limited to without becoming taxed, or my breathing being an issue, my stamina, things of that nature, right? All drastically improved. Even my healing, I've noticed, has improved, right? Now, folks ask me all the time, King Sadiq, what did you do to lose all that weight, and how have you been keeping it off? Well, the first thing I will say is that coming from a background in a family where folks have struggled quite a bit with their weight, with weight loss in general, with maintaining a good, healthy weight. Pardon me, folks. And I could say to you what I know for a fact does not work. First of all, that is dieting. Dieting, quite honestly, is a temporary change that one makes in order to get a fix that they would like to be permanent. That doesn't make sense if you think about it. A temporary fix will yield temporary results. Just logical, right? What is needed, I find, for an individual to control their weight, right, is a lifestyle change, which is certainly more permanent. If you want a permanent change, you make a permanent change. What did you change, King Sadiq? Well, the first thing I changed was my outlook on my diet, right? I needed to go back and look at my diet. I always considered myself to be having a fairly decent diet, sort of fooling myself throughout my life, at least my adult life. I stopped eating some things years ago, pork, for example, right, for various reasons, not necessarily religious, but that's something I stopped eating back in 1992, okay? I also attempted to avoid some things in terms of toxins. And when I say that, I mean like your food dyes that aren't all that healthy for you, right? Your red number 40s, your yellows, your things of that nature. Um, some of the more obvious things I really try to shy away from, to shy away from. Pardon me. But I still had a lot of things in my diet that weren't necessarily the best for me, right? Um, the biggest thing I'll say I needed to examine about my diet and what made me, in fact, make such a drastic change to the way I ate and the way I live is actually not even physical. It's my spiritual outlook, right? Um, my appreciation for our Creator, um, and my appreciation, pardon me, for our Creator's creation, for any creation of our creators, including all animals, caused me to really examine uh, eating any meats. Right. First of all, morally, I do not believe that human beings are superior to any other being or inhabitant on this planet, and we do not, in my estimation, have the right to murder any animal or any other being to consume them. It's pretty much that simple. Um, Also, I had to take a look at it and realize that not only is it morally something that is an issue we need to ponder, but actually physiologically. So let's take a look at it real quick. Any animal, any being consumes what its body requires, right? Your body is very intelligent, right? Do research, you'll find out your head is not the only place that your brain cells are located. Did you know that? You've got brain cells in several other areas of your body. And I'm not just talking about nerve receptor centers. You have brain cells in other areas of your body. Do the research. Don't take my word for it. Check it out. Your heart, your stomach as well, and other areas of your body, particularly your skin, which, by the way, is the largest human organ, right? Um, your body is very, very intelligent. And the same can be said for other animals as well, right? Our bodies know what we need to consume in order to replenish ourselves. So I say that to say a deer, its body knows what it needs to consume to reproduce a deer's body, right? A pig knows what it needs to consume in order to reproduce a pig's body. A cow knows what it needs to, its body knows what it needs to consume to reproduce cow cells, right? A chicken knows what it needs to consume to reproduce the cells of a chicken's body. So I say that to say that our human bodies know what we need to consume in order to replenish human cells, and all beings have that that innate quality, right? The ability for their bodies, or without us applying any conscious thought necessarily, our bodies yearn for the nutrition that we need to sustain ourselves. So like I said, that is applicable to all beings. So if a chicken eats what it needs to reproduce healthy cells for a chicken's body, then that means it is specifically consuming those nutrients, plants, things that are necessary, as I stated, to make that chicken's body. The same thing for any other animal, the beef. So what I'm getting at is that what a chicken consumes to reproduce a chicken's body is not the same thing that a cow consumes to reproduce a cow's body. A pig consumes what it needs, or what its body knows it needs to reproduce a pig's body, etc., etc. You don't see those animals tending to consume each other or what the other animal consumes to replenish its body. So cows generally don't eat chickens or consume chicken feed, right? And vice versa, etc., etc. Because again, the bodies are intelligent and know exactly what they need to reproduce that specific organism's bodily cells, right? So same thing for our bodies. And when we consume a chicken, or when we consume a cow, or when we consume a pig, we are not only not consuming what our human bodies most desire to replenish ourselves, but we are limited to what those beings intake in order to replenish their bodies, right? A cow, if you go and consume a cow, or rather, let me back up a bit. Cow, chicken, pig, whatever animal you're considering eating, it has converted what it has eaten into cow flesh or chicken flesh or pig flesh. That process has already taken place, right? That food or those plants have already been taken in, digested, and converted into the flesh of that being. Therefore, since we know that the digestive systems of those animals will reject as feces or urine the other things that are not necessary for it to reproduce its own cells, then it's a safe bet that there are quite a few things within a chicken's flesh or within a cow's flesh that we don't need to be consuming. Also, there is the absence of many things that we do need to consume as human beings within the flesh of a chicken, cow, or pig. Now, one would say, well, yeah, King Sadiq, that's why we don't just eat the meat. We also eat vegetation. You know, we have a little side of broccoli, we have a little side of mac and cheese, whatever. Doesn't take away from the fact that you're consuming many of the things that you shouldn't really be putting into your body. And if you're not putting careful enough consideration into those other things you're eating with the meat, you're likely still not providing your body with what it needs to complete the digestive process in order for you to have a healthy body and replenish your cells in a healthy, productive way. So consuming the flesh of another being simply isn't the most healthy thing. Not everybody agrees. I understand that, and I'm not like placing judgment on you. Oh, you're terrible. You're eating meat. You know, I ate meat before. Not that I'm proud of that, but I understand, right? I understand this culture that we live in, and I don't judge or place blame on anyone. Do what you do, but we're talking about what's most healthy for a human body, for a healthy human body. And we simply don't need to consume the flesh of other animals in order to be healthy. We don't. Anything that someone would say, oh, you need, you won't be getting enough iron, you won't be getting enough that, this, you can find those things from other sources, right? There are other ways to supplement your plant based diet in order to make sure that you have everything you need. Okay. And like I said, not only are there things that you are not taking into your body that you need to be a healthy human being when you consume the flesh of those other animals, but there are things that you're taking into your body from those other animals that you most certainly should not, right? Um, Unfortunately, if you're going to eat meat, most of us don't tend to eat organic all the time, right? So right away, you're going to be exposed to and consuming a lot of toxins, right? A lot of these days hormones, um, and even steroids, right? Used to pump these animals up to make more profit off of selling their bodies to be consumed for flesh, right? Uh, so nobody needs that. Also, the process in which these animals are killed for their flesh is not something that does not have an impact on the flesh. It most certainly does. The same way it would work within you, right? So if you're in a fight or flight situation, you're fearing for your life, your body and your muscles, right? Your flesh will be pumped with um, adrenaline and with the other chemicals within your body that come along with extreme fight or flight reflex, right? Um, that same process occurs in these animals who many times are killed in very savage, inhumane ways, right? So you're consuming all of that, and that's tangible. Um, and unfortunately, in the past few decades, we have seen the advent of uh, genetically modified organisms, GMOs, um, uh, partial genetic engineering, all taking place in a lot of the common foods that we eat, particularly our meats, right? Um, and that's unfortunate, but a lot of folks are leaving themselves open to consuming that as well. Not to mention anybody who is aware or conscious of the issue with chemtrails, right? Um, what goes up comes down. Um, that comes down, unfortunately, on us, on our plant life, and probably most affected are the animals that many of us consume, right? Because they don't have the ability nor the resources all the time to take the kind of shelter that we do. They're outside all day. They get rained on far often than we do, and they're just generally exposed to all of this stuff more. Um, so yeah, just consuming the flesh of those animals isn't a good idea. On top of that, and by the way, don't think I just went cold turkey and just stopped eating all meat. Um, it was a process by which I eliminated one particular set or type of meat. After, well, like I said, I'd stopped consuming pork back in 1992. But the next thing on my list, once I decided to stop eating meat, was I got rid of beef. Then next, I stopped eating chicken, then turkey, then fish, and then I just was devoid of any meat in my diet. Um, so that's that on meats, right? But the other thing I'm very careful and watchful to make sure I don't consume are those artificial ingredients that just simply aren't necessary in our foods and are often fit into two categories that I have, right? One, either a toxin, right? Or two, something that is a calcifying agent. Toxins is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to put a lot of time into that, right? You don't need to be flooding your body with chemicals, pyro, calcium phosphate, and things of that nature. Come on, man. If it sounds like it belongs in the chemistry set, you don't need to put it in your body. That's just kind of common sense, even though we don't always exercise that. Um, um, I'm glad I said calcium phosphate because many of these chemicals you see are calcium derivatives or additives or something that has to do with calcium. They are specifically designed to and aimed at calcifying your pineal gland, or rather your pineal organ. Pineal is actually not a gland. Um, and that's very bad, right? Your pineal, for those of you who may not know, um, is instrumental in the healthy function of your pituitary gland, which regulates the body's dispersal of all sorts of bodily fluids that regulate the healthy operation of your organs, like your hormones, enzymes, etc. Um, Amino acids. You really need to have a healthy pituitary gland and a correctly functioning pituitary gland, and that stems from the pineal, which is just one of the main functions of the pineal. It also produces melatonin, serotonin, which are instrumental in your sleep-wake system. Uh, Not to mention that beautiful, special molecule that is so prevalent in highly melanated folks, melanin, right? Again, we all have some level of melanin and some grade of melanin. Um, so yeah, melanin, healthy melanin, is very important to any person's um, physical well-being. And when you consume a lot of these toxins and calcifying agents, you're jeopardizing that. Coffee, um, tea, any of which with a lot of caffeine is a direct calcifying agent. Also, a lot of illicit drugs, many folks may not know, are powerful calcifying agents, like cocaine, for example. Very bad for your pineal. Um, okay. So yeah, toxins, you know, kind of self-explanatory again. The chemistry set stuff, keep it out. Calcifying agents, terrible for you as well. The meats, I've explained why that's not good for you. Removing these things from your diet is a great step. I would just say that the other step is to make sure that you are then consuming a very round and healthy diet, a plant-based diet that does give you all of the nutrients that you need. You know, your 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 iron, your potassium, can all be found through a healthy plant-based diet, and there are also, when needed, other supplements that you can consume, most of which from natural origins, right? So um, that's the way to go, in my opinion, my humble opinion. But I wanted to throw that out there for anybody. And like I said, I've been getting a lot of questions, from folks about how I've been able to lose so much weight and keep it off and stay very healthy and strong. And I just wanted to make a quick video, or well, maybe not so quick, but a video that talked about that, so that I could hopefully help even just one person, right? All right, King Sadiq, thanking you all. Once again, worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. King Sadiq out.